Oh, Harry, Doctor Who, how are you? Hello. Oh, wait, no. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Big on the Inside, the new Doctor Who Watch On podcast. Hi, Harry, how are you?
Okay, do you want to do that again,
Nah, I'll
Tim?
keep
Or
it in, man. We'll keep it in.
I mean, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, I guess you could say that I'm feeling pretty
Amazing.
fantastic.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that, Harry?
I don't know, just a spontaneous thing. Nothing to do with any recent news or trailers that have dropped. Just
That's right.
kind
We've
of
got
a
two
good
bits.
adjective.
Yeah. We've got one piece of news that was split up into two because there's two sort of exciting announcements within one. But before all that, you should leave a like on this video, shouldn't they, Harry?
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, so the big finish today. I'm excited to come out this week. Big finish today. They announced that Christopher Eccleston's. Well, you've got the quote, haven't you? Is it? It's not his current box set that's coming out. It's like the last one, isn't it? I think there's four
I
box sets
think
coming
it's
out.
the news that we've got today is about the third and fourth volumes.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
So is that okay? So the
So
news
volume
is that the. Sorry, no, you go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, so the news is that first of all, because we're going to break it down, is that the in the third volume, the Ninth Doctor is going to face off against the Cybermen for the very first time for us. Following the exclusive, this is the Big Finish article. Following the exclusive premiere of the first trailer of the series, today we can reveal that the Ninth Doctor will soon face off against one of his greatest enemies, the terrifying Cybermen, as voiced by Nicholas Briggs. The final episode of Volume 3, due for release in November 2021, features one of the menacing Mondasian monsters on the set of Fritz Lang's celebrated 1927 motion picture Metropolis. Writer John Dorney said, I know everyone was very keen for the Ninth Doctor to have an encounter with the Cybermen, and as they were the only Doctor and monster I hadn't written for Big Finish, I was very keen to be the one to write it. It was a real honor getting to script their meeting, particularly as it gave me the chance to dive into my love for the movies and write a bit of a celebrity historical.
Oh, so
So
okay,
there's
so
a lot of
that's the first bit of news, and there is a lot there. My
there
first
is,
question
yeah.
is: do you think these are going to be Mondasian Cybermen, or do you think they're just going to be 80s, 90s, modern day Cybermen?
There's a little bit. I don't know if I said it, but it says that it's going to feature one of the menacing Mondasian monsters.
Okay, so it'll be a Mondasian Cyberman then. Well, I hope so. Anyway, I hope
Yeah,
that's just
and
not a throwaway line they've put in there. That's good because I like the Mondasian Cybermen, and they sound better than their voice is more creepy than what we currently have. I feel.
that's true. I think like kind of everything about them is kind of all the Cybermen that we've had, the Mondasian ones are definitely kind of just the most disturbing. The fact that it's not a metal head, it's kind of like this bag, and you can kind of get a sense of the person inside it still, and like
Yeah,
that very kind of droning, high pitched voice is very creepy. I
yeah,
think that it's a very good fit for Eccleston's Doctor for him to
yeah.
face off against them.
I think we must have spoken in the past at some point about Eccleston facing off against the Cybermen for Big Finish. So
Mm.
I wonder, and obviously people listening to this, they know what the second bit of news is, but I just want to save it for when we talk about it. It seems to me that maybe they are playing all their cards at once, maybe, with this
Mm.
first set of box sets, with this first series of adventures, if you could call it that. Um, do you think then that sort of cements the fact that this might be a one time only sort of thing?
I feel like you definitely get the sense that Eccleston has only signed on to do these 4 volumes, and considering how long it's taken for him to do any kind of Big Finish or anything Doctor Who after his departure, I imagine that they're kind of treating it like this is the only time we're going to have him doing it. And so that does kind of suggest that, yes, we've got the Cybermen, him face off against them, and something else down the line. It does make you wonder, are they going to try and fill in every kind of blank that his Doctor had? Are we going to have him facing off against the Master? Are we going to have at least one of these volumes featuring Rose? We
Yeah,
don't know. But I feel like if they want to do that, they're going to do it
yeah.
now.
I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to. Like from people who've listened to the Big Finish videos that I used to do. Um, I enjoy them, but I'm not always completely sold on them. And it's very rare when a release comes out, I go, oh, I must get that. But this is the only time where I know I will be purchasing this. And that's not just because of the podcast, because we will talk about it. There will be some sort of video on it. But also, as just a fan, I would probably invest in this as well. And I think that's usually quite a good sign. Is if I wasn't doing a podcast where I felt obligated to do Doctor Who stuff, would I actually do it or listen or watch? Then I probably, But this is something that I would have listened to either way. How about yourself?
Yeah, I think so, especially after that trailer, which was released earlier in the week. That I've listened to a few kind of Big Finish trailers, that have dropped of kind of like the big event kind of stories they've done. And I really can't think of any that kind of got me as excited as the one for Volume 1. And I think that's just because of Eccleston's performance itself. It was just so full of energy and excitement, and just it far surpassed anything I was expecting.
Yeah.
Like the amount of work that he's done into this, the amount that he's seeming to be in it is just totally like, I'm on board 100%.
When we spoke about it briefly off air the other day, you mentioned something about a couple of the lines sounding more David Tennant-y than Ninth Doctor.
Yes, the whole thing of I did the thing, temporal thing, that did admittedly sound like a line that feels like it was perhaps written something you'd expect a character like, say, the 10th or 11th Doctor to say more than the ninth. But I suppose, you have to excuse the fact that, considering that the ninth Doctor has only been written for, officially, for 13 episodes back in 2005.
Yeah.
So it's, probably going to take a little of a bit of adjustment to kind of adjust back to writing his Doctor the way that we know it.
I know the one thing I picked up on was that the voice, it sounded, and I said this to Harrison, who, if you don't know, it also appears on his channel now and again. And I said that the thing with Big Finish, and I've only noticed it with new Doctors, is that the voice is like 99% bang on to what it was on the TV. There is that 1% that it just doesn't sound quite right. And it's there with Eccleston as well. But I'm wondering if that's because the actors age and their voices change, or is Eccleston purposefully doing a slightly younger version of the Ninth Doctor because this is an adventure that we haven't seen because it's a pre-Rose story?
That is potentially true. I did remember thinking when I first listened that the voice he was doing was kind of definitely an octave higher than I was expecting. And it could be perhaps that he is wanting to play a bit more of a youthful version of his Doctor, and perhaps that's why he's as high energy as he is.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it, though, man. I think it's going to be great. We're definitely going to do some videos on it. I don't know how you review audio, so I'll have to watch a few other people do it. Should we move on? Is there anything else you want to say about that before we move on to the second bit of news? A bit of news that I'm a bit more excited about.
Not right now. Do you want to move on to the next bit of news?
Yeah, so go for it, Harry. You want to read what the Big Finish website has to say?
Yes, the next bit concerns Volume 4, due for release in February 2022, where the Doctor is reunited with Brigadier Lethbridge-Stewart, as played by John Coleshaw, in an adventure that takes the Time Lord to the Firth of Forth.
That's what I struggled with that as well when I first read it. I was like, what does that mean?
I'm guessing it's some kind of sci-fi place, or is it somewhere in Britain that I don't know about?
Anyway.
Writer Roy Gill said, the Brigadier is an iconic character from the classic series, whereas the Ninth Doctor arrives at the very forefront of the new series. They may initially seem very different, but there's an interesting connection. Both forthright and steeply decent, they've been through conflict and are still fighting for what's right. It was a privilege to write their first meeting for Big Finish. Producer David Richardson added, it's been so enjoyable creating a whole new era for the Ninth Doctor, but I think the scripts really succeed in defining that bold new start. We are talking the Ninth Doctor pre-Rose. These are the adventures some time after his regeneration, traveling alone, starting to discover himself after all that time being the War Doctor.
Now, there's two things in there that stood out to me. One of them is that this is going to be maybe only the second time the new series has really gone back to the classic series. And the second one is that they say that he's on his own, meaning that he's not going to pick up any companions throughout these Big Finish audio adventures, which we thought might have been the case when they first announced the cast for Ravagers. I think it's called the first box set. And there was a couple of female cast members in there. And we sort of went, oh, maybe one of them's going to be the new Ninth Doctor companion and go travel with him for a bit. But I like the fact that if he is on his own, then that still plays in really well to what the series is, and it doesn't take away from that.
Absolutely, yeah.
My second, sorry, go
on. The thing about him starting to discover himself after all that time being the War Doctor, it kind of feeds into kind of what you were saying before about him being a bit of a younger version. That perhaps there's kind of a deliberately having him not quite written the same way he was in series 1 because he's still discovering that version of himself that we'll get to see. So perhaps it won't be until the end of the 4th volume that we fully recognize the character as the Ninth Doctor that we know.
Yeah. So when I said that it's sort of the second time it's really played into the classic series, by that I meant we had the return of Sarah Jane in the RTD era, but that's kind of been it, really. There's been classic monsters return, but character-wise, that's almost been it. Now, I know that in Big Finish they have done David Tennant meets Tom Baker, and there's been a few crossovers here and there, but this seems slightly more important and exciting having the Ninth Doctor meet the Brigadier, because every Doctor every Doctor on screen had a interaction with the Brigadier. Colin Baker had his on the Dimensions in Time, Children in Need special thing, and I'm not sure if Sylvester had one on screen. Oh yes, he did. Yeah, in Survival, in the very last televised stories, he had his interaction with there. So I've always felt it slightly strange that the Ninth Doctor and the 10th Doctor never had their interaction with the Brigadier. So it would be nice to maybe bring him back for David Tennant as well. But then how does that play with Matt Smith's Doctor? Because there is a scene in a Matt Smith episode in which he phones the hospital that is looking after the Brigadier to find out that the Brigadier has passed away. So at what point do you do the cut-off thing of not actually having the Brigadier meet the Doctor anymore?
I feel like a natural place would be Matt Smith, because obviously Matt Smith then meets, is it the Brigadier's daughter who becomes the new Brigadier in the show?
Yeah, Kate, yeah.
And then Capaldi's Doctor meets her as well. And then if Jodie was to meet that version of Brigadier as well, then kind of we could have it kind of from that point onwards, every Doctor who meets the Brigadier meets that version of a Brigadier. But then every pre-Matt Smith Doctor meets Brigadier Lethbridge-Stewart from the original series.
Yeah, I know that there was plans for David Tennant to meet the Brigadier in the Sarah Jane Adventures, The Wedding of Sarah Jane. But Nicholas Courtney, the actor, was too sick to turn up to film that day, so David Tennant never got the on-screen meeting with the Brigadier. So yeah, that would be cool. But I'm really excited. I know when I text you, I was like, oh, they're doing a Cyberman thing. We should do a video about this. And about 5 minutes later, I text you, I was like, oh wait, hold on, they're doing more than just this. And this is something I'm really excited about, because not growing up with classic Who, but I still know the importance of the character of the Brigadier. I always think of it as the character of the Brigadier is the classic version's Captain Jack Harkness. I feel like classic Who fans got excited about the Brigadier as much as new Who fans get excited about when John Barrowman returns. I've always said that I feel like John Barrowman is the new Brigadier, in the sense that every new Who Doctor should have a story with Captain Jack Harkness. But yeah, I think this is really exciting. I like that they're doing it. It's going to be one of those things where I'm just really excited, because I'm trying to visualize what I can hear, which is a strange thing to say. And the idea of the Ninth Doctor meeting the Brigadier is just really exciting, because it is like Marvel meeting DC or Star Wars meeting Star Trek. It's like the two things that you never thought would ever happen, and it's finally happening. I'm really, really excited for that, and I'm probably slightly more excited than that than the Cyberman stuff.
Yeah, because obviously a Cyberman, that's... it's a classic monster, but like you said, we've kind of had classic monsters crossing over into New Who all the time.
Yeah.
And like you said, this is kind of like a rare thing for the classic Brigadier to be New Who. And I mean, you're right, this is the first time he's properly interacting with the Doctor.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun.
It is. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bizarre that it's taken this long, and the fact that it's Christopher Eccleston who's going to have that privilege. Obviously, not with Nicholas Courtney, unfortunately, but with the character.
Yeah.
It kind of adds a whole new dimension to this set of stories.
Yeah, and John Coleshaw is amazing. I listened to the trailer for. He does the Brigadier in a lot of Third Doctor stories. He doesn't do the Third Doctor. He does do an impression of the Third Doctor, which is fabulous. But in the Big Finish stuff, they have a guy. I think it's called Tim Taylor, do the voice of John Pertwee. But John Coleshaw does do the voice of the Brigadier, and it's amazing how good it is. So I don't feel like it's going to be one of those things where it's like Nicholas Briggs doing the Ninth Doctor. You're not going to have to adjust your ears to it. It's going to be like, oh yeah, that's the Brigadier. It's just maybe ever so slightly different voice. One thing that I did want to talk about is, so we have news on box set 1, Ravagers. We basically know quite a lot about that now. We know the writers, we know the stories, the characters, and we've had a trailer. I imagine with a lot of the audio from that first trailer came from those first 3 stories. And then we have information on box set 3 and box set 4, but nothing on box set 2. What do you think could be in there that they're perhaps hiding from us?
What I'm inclined to say is, kind of building on something I mentioned earlier, is that I think if it's going to be in any of these box sets, the likelihood is that now, with news we've had, I think box set 2 could be the one where they potentially have Billie Piper in it as Rose.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be kind of, I don't know what Billie Piper is doing right now. Obviously, she's recently, this last year had that new TV series. And perhaps she's very busy working. Yeah, I hate Susie. And maybe she's working on a second series of that, which means she wasn't able to pop into the Big Finish recording studio. But I feel like, considering they got Eccleston I imagine on their end, they at least made an attempt to get Billy in to record some stories with them.
Perhaps.
Just because.
Sorry, go on.
Well, just because such a special part of Series 1 for me is the chemistry and relationship between the Ninth Doctor and Rose. And it really is one of the best pairings that I think we've had in New Who. So I think an opportunity to recapture that magic, even in audio form, would be one that I imagine. I can't imagine Nicholas Briggs not trying to make that happen.
Yeah. I wonder as well if there could be the possibility, if it wasn't Rose, what other stories they might do. Are we going to get a River Song, the Ninth Doctor and River Song with Alex Kingston, because she has done a lot of stuff with Big Finish. Or something I put on Twitter the other day was how much I would love Christopher Eccleston and David Tennant to cross over. And is the right place, despite it being something that would, I think, is missing from the show quite a lot, is that interaction of those two. They're the 2 doctors. They're my 2 doctors, David Tennant and Christopher Eccleston. And the idea of seeing them together on screen would destroy me. But I don't want them, as much as I would love them to do it in Big Finish, I don't want them to do it before the chance of it happening on TV has completely gone. I would rather them go, they've aged out, they no longer can possibly cross over on television. So the next best place for that is Big Finish. I wouldn't want Big Finish to take the opportunity of them crossing away on TV first, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I absolutely see what you mean. And I can't imagine that. I feel like a David Tennant Eccleston crossover on Big Finish is a whole other ballpark. I don't think that's in the equation for these stories at the very least. So I feel like, the last chance that I can imagine that happening would be the 60th, and that will for that to happen will require a big change of heart from Eccleston in these next couple of years, or for hell to actually freeze over.
Perhaps it could be a classic Doctor. Maybe it's going to bump into Sylvester McCoy, Colin Baker.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like McCoy, he did that promo thing recently for the was it the Blu-ray box set of one of his series, and he could still pull it off, just as well as he could for like TV movie, I'd say. So
talking of the TV movie, we announced on Twitter recently that we're going to be talking to the writer Matthew Jacobs. So do send in your questions, perhaps either in the comments or just send us a tweet. All the links are in the description. Now, before we move on, is there anything else that move on before we end, really? Is there anything else that you need to say, Harry, about these that you think hasn't been addressed yet?
nothing absolutely pressing right now. One thing. Considering Volume 4 is going to involve the Brigadier,
Yeah.
and obviously the Brigadier of Pertwee, the Third Doctor era, was also the first time you were introduced to the Master. Do you think there's any possibility of the Master popping up in that story as well?
That would be cool. When you said it then, I thought of perhaps a Pertwee Eccleston crossover or a Third Doctor Eccleston crossover with whoever does the Third Doctor voice, Tim Taylor, I think I said. That would be cool. To really get the two things that you never thought you would ever hear. A dead man and a man who wants hell to freeze over meeting. That would be insane. But yeah, that would be a cool way of introducing the Master, is if he bumps into a version that he's already met before, rather than a version that has either regenerated or has become something else. So I know Big Finish have given Paul McGann his own Master, but instead of doing that, just go, yeah, it's a classic Master, the same Master that bumps into John Pertwee's, now bumps into the Ninth Doctor as well.
Yeah, it could be was that the Delgado Master?
I believe so, yeah.
Is he the original? Yeah. Or it could be a Big Finish Master for all we know. It could be Mark Gatiss or something.
Yeah, it could be. So leave your comments, leave your thoughts in the comments below what you think of these. I'm really excited. I was really excited when that trailer dropped the other day, and this is just keeping the hype train going, I guess. And it's not long before that first box set does come out. I get paid soon by work, so I will be pre-ordering that. Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. And it's been a bit of a shorter, more chilled out video, but we will see you again soon, won't we, Harry?
Yes, we will.
Say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.